My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. What I have here is a little stove that I've been testing out for roughly a year now. This comes from the company known as FireMaple, and this is what they call the FMS-125 Pro. Out of all of the FireMaple stoves that I've tested out over the years, this might just be my most favorite one. And that's because it's a really good performer and it really doesn't have any issues. This is a stove that performs very well when out backpacking, out on hiking trips, but at the same time, also when you're doing overlanding trips. It's fairly uncommon for a stove to be good at both backpacking / hiking adventures and also overlanding. But this stove is, and that's because it's a little bit on the larger size. It's a little large, but that allows you to do some really good cooking on this. At the same time, it's not so large that you can't take it out on a hiking trip or a backpacking adventure. What you are looking at here is the storage case that comes with this stove. This is an interesting case for multiple reasons. First off, you have a screw on and off top, which I have to say I really dislike. When it comes to this case, I don't like it. And the simple reason is that oftentimes it doesn't go on very well. You can easily get this cross-threaded. You'll think it's on, and then all of a sudden the lid will pop off. As you can see here, this is almost too big for this case. The stove is too big for this case. Additionally, there's this funky hole in the bottom, which means this is not dirt tight, watertight, or anything like that. You can easily get dirt and debris and moisture inside of this case. Moving on to the stove, this is what it looks like when it's all stored up. You can see here that we have the fuel hose and the adjuster, and also the connection point so you can attach this to your isobutane canister. Up here at the top, we have the legs, and these fold out and lock into place. Here on the side, we have the igniter, which connects up here to the top. Up here we have the burner head, in addition to a built-in windscreen. And this is what the bottom of the stove looks like. The overall design of this stove, I have to say, is somewhat unique. I haven't seen this anywhere else with any other company. You can see that you have 3 pot supports and also 3 legs. With the pot supports, we have aggressive jimping. At the same time, these pot supports are rather large, meaning that you can support small to large size pots, pans, and cups. We have the feet down here, and they too feature a unique design. Again, everyone, when it comes to this stove, it runs on isobutane and isobutane only. When it comes to the BTUs, you're looking at 10,919. The hose length is 17.5 inches. And when it comes to the stored dimensions, you're looking at 3.5 inches by 4.5 inches. When it comes to the setup dimensions, 6.5 inches wide, 3 inches tall. The primary material for this stove here is stainless steel. There's also some aluminum and brass, and you have the plastic storage case. The weight of the stove is 9.9 ounces, which is surprisingly lightweight for a stove of this size. The weight of the case, 3.7 ounces, bringing the total weight up to 13.6 ounces. When it comes to cost, you're looking at $35 at the time of filming on Amazon. I purchased this with a 10% off coupon that was on Amazon. It's still there. Is it going to be there when this video goes up? I have no idea. With that being said, there is a possibility that you can get this for a little bit less than $35. And in my opinion, that is a killer deal because the performance from this stove is excellent. Speaking of which, let's do a quick boil test. That, my friends, is not a bad result. We're looking at 2 minutes, 22 seconds for 16 ounces of water, 2 cups. That is impressive for a canister stove. You have to consider that there are propane stoves that don't perform as good as this. This is not the fastest stove in the entire world though, but ultimately, speed doesn't really matter. But with that being said, this is a quick stove nonetheless. We have now gone over the stats, we've gone over the features, we've taken a look at the performance of this stove. Let's start with the review with the pros. Right off the bat, the quality of this stove is really good. Every edge is smooth, there's nothing sharp. This is a well-made product. It's amazing to me that a stove with this type of design, the size, the performance, the quality, it could be made for $35. Recently, I went hands-on with MSR's newest stove, the Switch. I will have a video coming up very soon concerning it. That stove is $140, and the quality is not as good as this. It's unbelievable, actually. Make sure to stay tuned for that episode with that MSR stove. It's an interesting product for sure. Anyways, getting back to this one here. So the design is good. I really do like it. I like the fact that you have a long fuel hose. The adjuster's really good. The legs, they fold in, they fold out, they lock into place. At the same time, the pot supports, they're quite large, meaning that you could put any size pot, cup, pan on top of this. It's because of that this stove offers you a lot of versatility. You can put your kettle on it, boil some water. You can put a smaller cup on there to warm up your coffee. Or you can put a very large pan on top of this and cook dinner. Again, folks, this stove offers a lot of versatility that you don't typically see with canister stoves like this. You can easily take this out on a hike, take it out backpacking, or you can have it with your vehicle at your camp and you can make yourself a really good meal because it's so large. It's large enough that it easily competes with larger stoves in the camping segment. But amazingly enough, the price is super low at $35. This performs just as good as large Coleman stoves or Gas One stoves, but yet it's a whole lot smaller, a whole lot more compact, will take up less room inside of your vehicle, and so on. As far as stability goes, it is excellent with this stove. Yes, it does feature a tripod design, but the legs are so far apart that it's very, very stable. Once you get this set up, even on uneven terrain, it's rock solid. The jimping for the pot supports is also very good, and it's quite grippy. This is going to assist with keeping your pots, pans, cups, and whatnot in place from sliding off of the stovetop. As far as the performance goes, it's excellent. Yes, this is a very powerful stove. It can boil very quickly, but at the same time, the burner head's large enough that it distributes the heat evenly, even on larger pans, which means that you could cook up a steak and you don't have to worry about the center being hotter than the outside because the heat coming from the burner head is spread out evenly on the bottom of your pot, pan, and so on. As far as reliability goes from this stove system, I've had no issues. It has fired up every single time. The igniter's worked every single time. I've never had a single problem from this stove. I mentioned earlier that this stove does feature a windscreen and it does assist with some wind resistance, but if you're going to be out in very breezy to windy conditions, you will need a windscreen with this system here, just like you will with the majority of stoves out on the market today. When it comes to the adjuster, it is very, very good. I will say that it's on the tighter side. It does take a little bit of work to move it, to turn the gas up or to turn it down. It's not difficult, but it's very, very tight, at least on this version here, or I should say the stove that I have here. I personally like adjuster that has some tension to it. I don't like them to be too loose, so this is a pro for this stove. And lastly, going back to the hose, I like the fact that it's so long you can easily get your gas canister away from your stove system, which is important. That takes us over to the cons for this stove system. If weight is important to you, you can easily find stoves that are much lighter weight than this. Luckily, this is not really that heavy. 9.9 ounces, that's not bad. But again, if ounces count to you, you can easily find something much lighter than this. At the same time, you can find stoves that are a whole lot smaller than this, if that's important to you. I've already spoken about the storage case. When it's empty, it's easy to get this to seal up properly. But once you have the stove inside of it, it becomes less so. It becomes quite complicated, in fact, and that's because the stove is just a little bit too big for this. And that means oftentimes you will get this cross-threaded and it won't be latched together. You take it out of your pack and boom, everything falls out. Plus, you have that weird hole in the bottom. I'm not sure exactly what that's for. Maybe they're thinking that people are going to store the stove inside of this when it's hot. I don't know. That's my best guess. The last con that I have for this stove is the fact that FireMaple says it is wind proof. There's no stove out on the market today that is wind proof. This does offer you some wind resistance, but it's not windproof. If it is windy while you're using this stove, the transference of heat to your pot will be impacted. That means this stove is not windproof. And folks, that wraps up the pros and cons that I have for the stove. All in all, this is an excellent stove at a fair price that offers really good performance. What makes this stove so impressive is the fact that it's inexpensive, the performance is really good, it's not too heavy, and at the same time, it's not too large. But yet, it's versatile enough that you can take with you on an overlanding trip and it will replace large stoves. And that's because this stove is just as capable. You have enough BTUs with this system here to do basically anything that you want to. If you need a boil in a hurry, you wake up, you want some coffee more than anything, you can do it. If you need to cut back the performance so you can simmer, you can do it. Again, the burner head, it's large enough for even large size pots and pans. Again, this offers you a lot of versatility and a lot of capability at a fair price. I mentioned at the beginning of this episode that this stove was right at the top of my list when it comes to FireMaple products, and that's certainly true. It does everything right. There's no real cons to it. The storage case kind of sucks, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot. Anyways, folks, that is my agenda-free review of this FireMaple stove. And now it's your turn to sound off in the comments down below. What do you all think about this system? Based upon looking at this, is this something that you're interested in for your hiking trips, backpacking trips, overlanding trips, kayaking, canoeing, bike packing, and so on? If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the thumbs up. It's a great way to support this channel and to show that you appreciate a channel that's agenda-free. I purchased this with my own money. I do not care if you buy it at all. I am here to share information, and that's it. Take care, be well, strength and honor. Until next time.